So we started with some pretty basic exchange traded contracts, that being an HTA using a futures contract, a put option and a caller that use exchange traded option contracts. And then we dove into accumulator contracts that use over-the-counter optionality to generate some premium prices. Now, like I mentioned before, there's over 30 of these accumulators. So if any of these don't sound like they are exactly what you're looking for, you should contact us and talk through what your objectives are so we can find a contract that suits up to your needs. That being said, the primary accumulator contracts used by farmers such as yourself in the grain space are going to include some kind of weekly or euro double up risk, knockout risk, and maybe a guaranteed quantity function. And that's the ones we tried to show you just so you could get used to those features. In essence, that's the glory of the over-the-counter market, is we can customize any contract to obtain the exact objectives that the user wants it to. I will say that there is some limitations to who can work in the OTC space. There is some financial requirements that are regulatory required to be able to participate in these over-the-counter contracts. However, whether you meet those financial requirements or not, you can still utilize the services of StoneX Commodity Solutions or even your local grain buyer to have access to this over-the-counter market. So really, these are something that anybody, whether or they want to have their own OTC account or not, can access and utilize to effectively market their grain production. So as I mentioned a few times throughout this video, every year is different and every marketing situation is different. And that's why we have 30 or 35 different accumulators, because there's always some component of that price, either cash or base or futures or basis, that we're trying to isolate and use to our advantage. So really, what the producer has to do is understand what their profit level is. So where is their break even? What have they invested to produce this crop? B, what are they trying to achieve? Have a goal, have a target in mind, and try to use contracts that get you there. And C, understand how all of the different contracts, the accumulators, the other types of cash contracts that we presented to you, can help achieve those goals. So one of the huge benefits of using accumulator contracts is that they can be suited for almost any market condition. Now, that being said, there is going to be times that maybe you as a producer have a goal out there that you think is achievable, but the market can't give you today. If that was the case, really with any type of contract, but especially with these accumulators, we could put in working offers to make sure that if the market did move in a direction that would satisfy the conditions necessary to achieve the goals that you have, that would automatically fill, and you wouldn't be required to be having a vigilant eye on the market all the time. If the conditions warranted it, that contract would fill automatically without you being required to contact a StoneX broker or anybody else. So as a farmer myself, I think it is crucial that you have a marketing plan as you begin every crop year. It's very hard to achieve a goal that is constantly moving. Know your cost of production, know at what price levels you need to make sales, and be willing to do that while that crop is growing. Again, that is going to be, in general, when our best opportunities are to make those cash sales. Aside from that, using some kind of service to manage those financial contracts or those cash contracts if you're using a grain buyer to go through. To me, I'm not particular on which way you choose to do it, but know that there are a lot of alternatives out there. Whether you go through a grain buyer and do physical contracts, which lock in futures and basis at the same time with that same supplier requiring delivery to that particular supplier, use a StoneX broker who can manage that futures component with any of these cash contracts, or use a service such as StoneX Commodity Solutions that allows you to use these advanced contracts margin-free and lock in both of these components separately, that basis piece with your grain buyer and the futures side with a service such as StoneX. One of these three alternatives has to be a component of your overall marketing plan.